So I am Claire Ackers. My current circumstances are that I'm normally a leadership coach, but my current schedule is that I'm homeschooling, and then as soon as my husband finishes work, I'm in the shed like a shot to work on my own stuff. And then after that, I'm pretty much fried, so tend to watch telly. If anyone wants to put in the chat any good recommendations for Netflix series I've seen recently, that'd be marvelous. I've seen Tiger King, so anything in that sort of vein, not too taxing, would be absolutely marvelous. Let's share the love on the TV series. So put in the chat, what are your circumstances? Are you working from home? Are you on your own and in complete isolation? Who has got family around them? Who's juggling homeschooling with trying to work? Who here's got a team that they're trying to manage remotely? I'd also love to know what the biggest challenge you're having at the moment is with regards to leadership. I sent you an email yesterday about your greatest leadership challenge at the moment. I've had some really interesting comments come back already. So, for example, popular ones were keeping everybody motivated remotely and helping them stay positive. Thank you from that, Neil. So working from home, but lucky enough to have the wife who can do the homeschooling. Amanda's got 17 members. Hannah, hello Hannah, working from home, husband here too, sharing the Wi-Fi can be fun. Yes, absolutely it can. Who's had a call go down with when their Zoom's been interrupted? I did a coaching session last week where we ended up on WhatsApp chat because Zoom just decided not to play, so that was interesting. Anna's got feral children, so that's good. Feral children and manages a team of 40. I wonder which is the more challenging, Anna. Pauline is about to go off on maternity leave and is trying to onboard a team remotely. Gosh, that's all going quickly. So Juliet, working from home. Oh, I went too quick with them. Working from home, trying to juggle husband. Yeah, lots of homeschooling, lots of juggling, lots of pragmatism, I would say, going on, and understanding and all that good stuff. John's doing 10,000 steps a day. That's all good. One friend else has got a shed course. Is anybody else working in a shed? I love a garden office. It's really lovely. Yeah, long hours, a lot of long hours going on, a lot of split shifts going on as well. Somebody sent me a really interesting comment about their greatest challenge was accepting the decisions of their superiors when they didn't believe in them, which I thought was really interesting, and having to pass that message on to their team. I'm not sure I fancy that challenge myself, but that was their challenge. So just a couple of housekeeping bits for people who have just joined us, and there's somebody else waiting, so let them in. Hello, Stephen, thanks for joining us. Yeah, so if you could mute yourself if you're not talking, please interact and put comments in the chat box. Let's make this really interactive and fun and helpful for each other. And let's just respect each other. Let's create a safe space, and let's be honest and share, because you will get the more out of this session, the more honest you can be, and the more you can share. Yeah, just reminded of a Google Hangouts that my daughter did yesterday with a class where everybody was speaking at once. It was like Lord of the Flies. Yeah, that was a bit crazy. Yeah, so sheds, yes, can thoroughly recommend the shed, although Anna has gone one future and is working on a camper van, so I think she gets the prize for the most interesting workspace. Okay, on we go. So the objective of this session is to, number one, share with you the very best things the amazing people that I work with are doing to provide the very best leadership they can. We are going to do a live mini coaching exercise that will enable you to feel in control, less anxious, and therefore think more creatively and come up with the best solution. You will come off this call with your very own unique bespoke strategy that you can immediately put into action, that's going to ensure that you evolve, adapt, but stay authentic. And make sure you stick around to the end, because I'm going to be giving you a link to download the exercise so you can use it with your own team. Feel free, use it if you feel it'll be helpful to help your team get all the good stuff that we're having. Okay, so who am I? I am Claire Ackers. I am a leadership coach working with business owners, mainly in the tech sector, but with many other professional sectors like legal and insurance. I coach business owners and senior leaders, so we're having some pretty interesting high stakes conversations at the moment. As I mentioned, my situation is that I'm married with 3 children. They are aged 10 years, 5 years and 9 months. So very, very different needs. My husband is in the middle of a contract, so needs to keep pretty regular office hours, and his boss is on the call, so hello. So I'm currently homeschooling 9 to 5, which I am terrible at. Hats off to teachers, and then shooting into my lovely shed quarters that you see before you and working on my business. I am extremely lucky that all the lovely people that I work with have been happy to seamlessly switch to Zoom coaching, so it's been pretty much business as usual for me. But you can imagine what 99% of the coaching sessions I'm having at the moment have been talking about. My absolute passion is authenticity and mindset. So that's basically helping people understand who they are and what they stand for, and then helping them have the courage and the right mindset to live that every day. Resilience is a huge topic in normal circumstances as well as now. How to bounce back when things go wrong, how to navigate the challenges of growing a business, like having to sack an employee who's taking the proverbial or making massive mistakes in front of clients, and how to hold true to their purpose and path when they're getting criticism from all sides. So you may have received this PDF when you signed up, but I basically have researched and interviewed and spoken to a lot of leaders that I'm working with at the moment, and distilled them into a guide, the 10 ways, that the best ways that I've seen that people are adapting and staying authentic during this testing period. Excuse me. This is a totally unprecedented situation. Corona is affecting everybody worldwide. The situation is changing so fast, and there is so much we don't yet know about the virus, but also how long this is all going to last. As leaders, it's our responsibility to manage our mindset. And when I say leader, you may be a business owner, you may run a FTSE 100 company, you may have a junior, your mentor, or you may not have any management responsibility at all. But if you're attending this workshop, I'm going to assume that at the very least, you care about the impact you have and you want to have a positive influence in some shape or form. So as I say, this situation is unprecedented. We have had pandemics before, yes, but we've never had the communication and the information exchange opportunities. But the negative side of this, the negative side of this is that there's little respite from the crazy. The ping of your phone with news updates, social media constantly available, and this can lead to a lot of fear. However, I believe that in times of uncertainty, leaders don't follow popular culture, they create their own. So let's look at the 10 top things my clients are doing to adapt, evolve, but stay authentic. Number 1 is communications. Leaders should be very deliberate in their communication, and that specifically is over communication. So using lots of different routes, so talking, Zoom, email, social media, formal routes, informal routes. It's advisable to make sure it's quality communication though. I've had complaints from people about being called to meetings for no reason. I've seen a lot of stuff on LinkedIn actually about people complaining that they're being called to meetings that are a total waste of their time, and it ends up feeling like they're being checked up on essentially. There's a reason that Boris et al. Are having press conferences every day. Even if there's nothing brand new to communicate, just that they're standing there every day coming across as empathetic and in control, or doing their best to, that's really, really important. And then number 2 is clarity. This goes hand in hand with communication, but clarity is the easiest way to dispel fear. Be as clear, transparent, and consistent in your message as possible, and be available to answer questions. I've seen leaders have brilliant Q&As with their teams, ask me anything, loads of different stuff. They know you don't have all the answers. I know that's a fear for a lot of people who fed back to me, that they're looking to you for a plan, but you don't know the answers. They know you don't know all the answers. But when you communicate clearly, it does inspire trust. Number 3, lifting the veil. These are not normal times, and there's something wonderfully equalising about seeing your boss's kids wander onto the screen needing a loo, or realising your boss is wearing shirt, tie and pyjama bottoms. I've just heard the rain start on the roof of my shed. I don't know if you can hear it. Ordinarily it might put me off, but again, we're all in the same boat, so it's humanising. Did you see the picture going around LinkedIn of the kid dressed as Spider-Man perched on the table during the conference call over the person's shoulder? I love that one. And have you seen all the bookshelf one-upmanship as well? People colour coordinating their bookshelves and putting them in size order and all that stuff. It's quite funny, really. Personally, I'm loving having a little window into the lives of my colleagues, but maybe I'm just nosy. Number 4 is encouraging emerging leaders. I'm hearing so many tales of people taking the opportunity to step up and emerge during this time. I spoke to a guy the other day who was blown away by one of his team members who was offering to do all the really, really unpopular jobs, keeping team spirit going and really, really stepping up. And you can bet that person's going to be remembered, and smart leaders are nurturing that talent. Number 5 is creativity and innovation. So encouraging your team to be curious and creative and giving them space and investment to do so is a total win-win. A client the other day was so proud of the things he was able to do during what used to be his commute time. He decided to learn to play the ukulele. Number 6 is uphold your values. It's vital that leaders show the importance of demonstrating company cultural values and show how they can be adapting to suit the current circumstances. So, for example, accountability and ownership, they are definite traits that you want to be encouraging, but make sure that you're demonstrating them yourself first. And trust, for God's sake, don't micromanage your team. I have seen one manager insisting her team turn on video and leave it on all day so you can check that they're working. If you value trust, please demonstrate it. And then number 7 is positivity and confidence. Your team want to trust you know what you're doing and that you're competent, that you have authority, that you have a plan and that they can rely on you. They know you don't have all the answers, but they trust you to have a plan. One of my clients sees it as her responsibility to educate herself as much as she can so she can formulate the best plan possible. And then number 8, don't be tone deaf. Sorry, I'm just breaking off to admit some other people. If you have just joined us, would you mind turning yourself on mute? I think someone's making their lunch in the background and we can hear some pans clanging. So if you just stick yourself on mute, that'd be marvellous. Thank you so much. So number 8, don't be tone deaf. This goes hand in hand with positivity. Please don't be tone deaf. Sunny, blasé positivity is worse than negativity. You have to have empathy. Using language like, I understand, I feel your pain, the world is hurting at the moment. It connects with your heart, your team understands you're a human being and believes that you'll look after them. Number 9, vulnerability. Did anybody catch the podcast interview I did with this week with Zandra Moore, the CEO of Pan Intelligence? Drop me a yes in the chat box, or do me a thumbs up, or I don't even know what the various different reactions you can do, but let me know if you heard the podcast. We recorded it before the coronavirus, but she was talking about her leadership skill. And for her, it's pretty much allowing herself to be vulnerable in order to build real connections, which for her has led to great relationships, great teams, a great company, and some great clients. And I absolutely love this inside out leadership. There's a link at the end if anybody wants to listen to it, by the way. And thank you to those who do have listened to it. So, and finally, number 10, look after yourself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Did anybody see or read the article from Jeff Weiner, CEO of LinkedIn this week? He was talking about buffering, which is his term for basically taking some time in between meetings. Rather than feeling like you're on a Zoom treadmill, making sure you build in some thinking time, never mind going to the loo and getting a drink in between meetings. So keeping your physical, mental and emotional energy up is absolutely vital if you're going to be resilient. So there we have it. I'd love to know your experiences. Drop me a comment in the comment box to let me know if you agree with me, or if you disagree with me, or if you have any top tips of your own. I'd love to hear them. I'll just give you a minute if anyone wants to stick anything in there, and take the opportunity to get a little drink. It's hard work doing all this talking. I much prefer coaching, where I let everybody else do the talking. Ask a question and sit back and listen. Okay, let's move on. So, part 2. Has everyone got pen and paper? I sent out a reminder to make sure you got pen and paper. Well done. 3 points. Well done, Anna. You don't need to prove it to me. I trust you. Okay. Thank you, Neil. Oh, yeah. So very much encouraging lifting the veil, encouraging team. It's okay for kids to appear on screen. Oh my God, yes. There's this little window in the corner of my shed, and you can guarantee that if I'm making a really heartfelt, important point, there's going to be a little face there going, "Hey, what are you doing, Mummy?" It's it's interesting. And then from Pauline, emotional well-being is a key focus at the moment. We can't expect people to work well if they don't feel well. Absolutely, yeah. I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see what the mental health backlash is going to be after all this. I think people are going to need a lot of kindness and a lot of time, a lot of support to readjust and rehabilitate, I guess. Well-being is so important, especially when people are working out in the field. Kids on camera really helps connections with clients and business meetings. So absolutely, it's a great equalizer. We're all in the same boat. It's hilarious. You can be having quite a tense discussion with someone, and then someone comes in needing a poo, and it's it kind of breaks the ice a little bit. Invite kids to our team's meetings, have a 5-minute wave and chat to the kids before we start. Yes, absolutely, good idea. Get it all out the way, make them feel involved, and then send them off to do something else. Emotional intelligence is key. Stephen, no problem that you joined us late. We're recording it, and I'm going to send out a replay so you can catch up on the first bit. And we're getting into the worky bit now as well, so you join for the right bit. Can't hardball negotiate and make a paper airplane at the same time. Do you know what? I think that's a challenge. I think there should be some sort of multitasking challenge. What can you do whilst trying to perform work? Maybe we'll try and get that going. Paper airplanes whilst negotiating, that could be a new thing going around. I'm not sure it'll take off on TikTok, but okay. Fabulous. So let me set the scene with a story. Has anybody heard of Bethany Hamilton? When she was 13, she went for a morning surf with her friends. She was lying on her surfboard, dangling her arm in the sea, when a 14-foot tiger shark swam up and ripped her arm right off. She arrived at hospital having lost 60% of her blood, and it was unclear whether she'd even survive. However, less than a month later, she was back in the water surfing. I'm not sure I'd have done that, but fair play to her. Just over a year later, she won a national surfing title, eventually fulfilling her lifelong dream to be a professional surfer. In her darkest hour, in extraordinary circumstances, she made a choice. She chose to meet her circumstances with grace, courage, and determination. For most people, losing your arm to a tiger shark would be the end of your dream. But for Bethany, she chose to let it fuel her and work even harder. And for me, that just shows an indomitable human spirit. So get your pen and paper together, if you will. We are going to do the Circle of Influence exercise. This is an oldie but goodie I use with all my leadership coaching clients at some point or another. I know there are a few of the people I coach on the call today, so please say hello if you're happy to out yourself, as it were, who may have done this before. But the thing I love about this exercise is that it works differently every time, and the action plan you come up with will be the right one for what you need right now. The main benefits are feeling in control and being able to take positive action, which is something we could all do with at the moment, I'm sure. It's also amazing for reducing stress and anxiety, and is a staple in building resilience. So pretty much ticks the boxes for all of the top tips we just went through. So before we get going, I should mention that this exercise is inspired by Stephen Covey. I'm not claiming to have invented it. However, I have adapted it for the challenges my clients are facing, many of whom are striving to grow and scale amazing businesses. Okay, let's go. There is a template of this exercise available to download from my website, which I've linked to at the end of this workshop. But if you haven't got that, what I'd like you to do is take a piece of paper and draw 3 circles. So you're going to draw a massive circle as big as the piece of the paper, and then you're going to do an inner ring, and then an even more central ring. You give me thumbs up when you've done that. Marvellous. Okay, so the central circle, you're going to label control. The second, so the inner circle, the middle one, you're going to label influence. And then the outer ring, you're going to label out of control. Okay, so I thought about whether to call this part challenges or brain dump or topics or issues, but I just went with stuff because I thought that, well, it was either that or shit, and I thought I better err on the side of caution. So what I would like you to do is brain dump everything that is going on for you at the moment, all the issues on your mind. So coloured pens are good for doing this, getting lots of different colours on there. I like to do mine. Well done, Anna. Three gold stars for you. I've got some mini post-its here that I like to use. But if you just got a normal pen, that works absolutely fine. It's just for your own creativity, however you are wired. So I am just going to give you, well, I'm going to give you some thinking space, but I'm also going to show you one I prepared earlier for a bit of inspiration. So hopefully you can see that. So on mine, I've got marriage, I've got lockdown, I've got news, I have got economic decisions, I've got holidays in the future, I've got my family's health, I've got homeschooling, I've got working from home, I've got exercise and fitness, worrying and anxiety, I've got friends, I've got finding a vaccine. Just a very quick brain dump of the various different topics I have percolating in my brain at the moment. If anybody has any questions, stick them in the chat box. Otherwise, I'm just going to give you a moment's bit of thinking time. When you've extracted about as many bits of stuff as you can, do you want to just drop me a message in the chat box to say that you're ready to move on? I also have the instructions for this available if you want to come back to it later. Okay, so let's move on. Hopefully your template looks a bit like this. So we've got control, we've got influence, and we've got out of control. And what I'd like you to do is to put all the issues you've just identified, all the stuff you've just identified, in the correct circle on the template. For example, in out of control, I have got. Is everyone clear on what the different rings mean? By the way, would anyone like an explanation on what they're putting where, basically? So control is stuff that is within your control, what you can kind of a different word of control, but I can't. What you can control, and then the second ring is what you can influence, and out of control is stuff that's completely out of control, can't do anything about it. So in my out of control, I have got lockdown, I have got finding a vaccine, I've got the news, I've got holidays, and I've got economic decisions. Nothing I can do about them, they are out of my control. And then in the influence ring, I have got my marriage. I'd like to be able to control it, but I think someone else gets a say in that. I've got exercise and fitness, because I can exercise, but I'm having to adapt what I'd really like to be doing. Influence, I've got working from home, because I have to work from home, but I can influence how I do it. I've got my friends in influence, I can influence how I interact with them, but I can't influence what's going on for them or their health. And then I've got family's health and homeschooling in influence as well. And then in control, I've got worrying and anxiety. I can control that. Beverly, you said you can't see the circle, so you should be able to, hopefully you can see it now. Drop me a message if you still can't, but we've been drawing our own circles, so you should be able to see my example on the screen, but you should be drawing your own version of that. Let me know if you sorted. Give me thumbs up or Drop me a note in the chat. Everyone managed to get their various topics on their circles? Yes? Marvellous. Let's move on. Okay, so what can we do with this information? So I have selected 3 of those topics. So I've taken, from my out of control circle, I've taken the news. From my influence circle, I've taken my family's health. And from the control circle, I've taken worry and anxiety. So the aim as authentic, forward-thinking leaders is to move as much as we can to the inner circle. So from out of control into influence, from influence into control. And in this example, I have got news in my out of control circle. So what I'm going to do is break it down so it sits better with me. I can't control the news content, but I can control when, what, and how I consume the news. I can control the quality of the news I receive, on which channels. I can control and limit my social media consumption. I can defriend or block people who share conspiracy theories, and I'm sad to say there have been some of those that have been crawling out of the woodwork on Facebook and so on. I can seek out positive news stories. I can connect with friends and colleagues who share my belief system. So mine, if I break it down, mine might end up looking something like this. So for news, I've put the content into out of control, but then I've broken it down into when, how, what, and quality, and social media and community, and I've moved them into my control box. Make sense? So let's look at the next example, which is family's health, which is in my influence. So I've chosen that mainly because I can take steps to make sure that my family don't get the virus, but I do accept that they might. So again, let's break it down. I'm going to keep getting corona in influence because we can observe social distancing. I can keep them at home, but they may get ill. And then I'm going to put finding a vaccine in out of control. And in control, let's have things like healthy eating, making them exercise, sneaking in yoga and meditation so they're mentally strong, using technology so they can see their friends, and then suddenly I feel more proactive and I have got a plan. So hopefully you're getting the hang of this now, and whilst I'm talking, you're working through your own examples. So if you get what I'm saying and you understand, give me a thumbs up. Make sense to everybody? Yeah, perfect. Okay. If anybody would like me to work through an example with you, stick it in the chat box and I'll try to help. So last example then, and this for me is the most important, worry or anxiety. So I'm going to rename that mindset, and this is where the resilience part comes in. Strong statement time. You can 100% control your mindset. Let me just repeat that. You can 100% control your mindset. Your thoughts, your worries, your reaction to outside stimulus, wherever and however it comes, it's in your control. You choose your thoughts, your reactions, your actions, and it's all that which determines your character and your reality. So as leaders, it's up to us to stand guard at the doors of our minds, as Coach Tony Robbins is fond of saying. And then another quote, this time for Zig Ziglar, another one that I really, really like. People often say that motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily. So it's not just enough to be positive one day. You need to mind yourself and guard your mindset and make sure that every day you are doing something to strengthen yourself so you can be there for yourself and others. So, what to do? Yes, thank you, Gareth. COVID good news info. Yeah, we can all do the bit of positivity. So what to do with all this knowledge? So once you've broken everything down and got it in a more slightly more positive breaking down of the various different stuff, we are left with some stuff that is out of our control. And this is where acceptance comes in. We can't do anything about the stuff that is out of our control. So honestly, let's not waste time on it. There are better use of your talents and energy. I don't know about you, but that acceptance does give me a kind of peace. My yoga teacher said yesterday that if you can put a name to it, you can let go of it. I quite like that thought. And then the influence, similarly, influence the stuff you can and just let go of the stuff you can't. Focus your talents and energy where you're going to get the rewards. So that leaves us with control. This is where, as leaders, we should be spending our time focusing our energy and talents, because this is where the magic happens. We are not going to get through this period in our history by staying small. This is where you can make a difference, to show your quality and to help others. It's a lovely quote here by Viktor Frankl, the eminent psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor. The last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. I really like that one. So what I would like to do now is invite you to identify and write down, from everything you've just identified, 3 things you will accept that are out of your control and therefore no longer worry about. 3 things you can influence and what your part in them might be. 3 things within your control and what you will do to take action on them. Let me repeat that. So I'm inviting you to identify and write down 3 things you'll accept are out of your control and therefore no longer worry about. For me, that's government decisions on business funding, when the schools are going to go back, that sort of thing. And then 3 things you can influence and what your part in them might be. I can influence my kids' education. I can't force them to work, at least not without a lot of tears, as we're discovering, but I can influence what mood I come to the table in, try my best to pick engaging worksheets and being relaxed on screen time. And then 3 things within your control and what you will do to take action on them. So for me, that's what I read, making sure it's helpful and quality, what I watch and how I eat. And also, this sounds mega cheesy, to be honest, but making sure I use my skills to help other people. Honestly, I can't tell you how much it helps me to feel useful and like I'm making a difference. I'd really, really love to hear some of your ideas. So I'd love it if you could share them by sticking your comments in the chat box. If you want to, of course. There's no if you'd rather keep them private, that's fine too. I'd also remind you to think about the greatest challenge that you came to this workshop with. I asked you to think about the greatest leadership challenge that you have at the moment. Whether that's keeping the team motivated remotely, accepting decisions that are out of your hands, juggling childcare, does the action plan you've just come up with, does it address that? If not, make sure that you go back and make sure it addresses that, because that's where you'll have the most impact. You're all looking like you're very deep in thought. I'm loath to interrupt you. I'd love it if somebody would share one of their actions with me, but honestly, there's no pressure to. Okay, so from Andy, homeschooling, a lot of friends are getting mega stressed about their kids getting left behind. It's not a competition. If you can get 2 hours quality learning in a day, one-to-one, that's probably equivalent to a day in school. Enjoy the rest of the time teaching life skills like baking. Absolutely, Andy, totally agree with you. I kind of figure that my kids are really, really up and down at the moment, but if we can, that their emotional safety to me is more important at the moment than whether they're completing all the workshops. So we're just doing what we can, aren't we? I don't think there's any right way or wrong way at the moment. We're all just kind of, well, winging it essentially. Yes, Neil, maintain more frequent video calls with parents to maintain their mental health. I think there's a lot of older people who aren't quite as au fait with technology. There of course are a lot of older people who are absolute whizzes with technology, but I think isolation is a real thing, isn't it? And then from Pauline, influence, supporting my team with the transition in leadership by providing opportunities to talk openly about worries and supporting my map cover so he has all the tools he needs. Yeah, absolutely, that's great. I'd love to hear. I think that'd be really, really, I know you're in a particular situation, Pauline, and you're about to go off on mat leave. But it'd be really interesting to share, because there's got to be a lot of other people who are in similar handover periods and then out of control when this baby finally comes. Yeah, you'd be out of control in normal circumstances, so just go with it. And then from Hannah, except I can't go on holidays, boo, I know, or day trips, but what I can do is call Ryanair and explain the voucher isn't acceptable. Oh, sounds like Hannah's about to get her big girl pants on and give someone an ass kicking. Wouldn't want to be on the other end of that phone call. Good luck with it. And then from Anna, out of control, how society acts as a whole. My God, this. Do you think that this is bringing out the best in some people, but the absolute worst in some others? Honestly, I wouldn't put on screen some of the things I've witnessed, but it's not good. It's really, really not good. I can only control how the four of us in this house act and accept that as my responsibility and ignore articles that bang on about sunbathing in the park. Absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And then from Nikki, control realistic expectations of myself and others. Yeah, realistic. I think we're hard. We are too hard on ourselves. Yeah, be kind. Absolutely, be kind. Cool. Thank you for everybody who commented there. What I'd really love to know as well is what is the biggest takeaway you have got from today? What you will put into action in the next 24 hours. And I would love it if you would share that with me either now or when you've done it. Let me know what you've done. Let me know about your action plan and how you've moved forwards. Anybody who I've coached, any of my clients, they will know I love celebrating their successes, and I love getting a text at some strange hour just saying, yay, I did it. It's really, really fantastic. If you don't want to type in the chat box, then I have a Audacity leadership group. It's lovely and supportive, and we'd love to welcome you in there and cheer you on and make sure you achieve your plan. And if you don't want to do that, then drop me an email and I will cheer you on privately. Just a couple more comments there. So in control, muting the WhatsApp groups of competing mothers showing off about their amazing homeschooling. Oh my God, the craft projects, it's absolutely insane. Our garage is full of this cardboard box train that my 5-year-old made. It's enormous, and yeah, we'll have to sneak it into the recycling when he's asleep or something. But yeah, there is a lot of competing craft stuff going on. Yeah, absolutely. So Juliet, control my mindset. I'm drained by the end of the day. Is anybody else finding Zoom really, really intense? Just that level of energy required to maintain that connection and actually remove the barrier that Zoom, that technology puts up. I'm stopping watching the news and going to watch Shameless instead. Real life. It's just real life these days. And then from Sarah, give quality time to each activity in person rather than trying to do everything at the same time and not achieving anything. Yeah, amen to that. Absolutely. And then from Philip, breaking down to what's out of control, to these things I can influence and those I can't. Yeah, absolutely. Great. Thank you for that. So this is the link for the downloadable if you would like the template that we've used today. And I've also put some instructions on there as well if you would like to use that with your teams or your kids or just on yourself. Feel free to use it with my blessing. So in this workshop, you've heard the 10 best ways the leaders that I know are adapting, evolving, but staying authentic. And if you're on this workshop, then I'm going to assume that that's important to you. And yes, Neil's saying that he's able to be vulnerable to his team. So yeah, great way to be authentic. You have also come up with an action plan for building and demonstrating your own resilience. And I would love to hear how you get on with that. And yes, like I say, you've got the download if you want to use the exercise with your team. If you want to keep in touch, that is the link to my Audacity support group. That's on there. That's called Audacity, which is my leadership program as well that I've got. I have got my podcast. There was the great interview I mentioned with Zandra last week. Next week we have got Anna Sutton from the Data Shed. So that's coming up, going to be out on Tuesday. So my interview with her will be there. And then I've got my signature leadership transformation program. Like I said, it's called Audacity for Brave Authentic Leaders. That's on my website. I am Claire Ackers. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope I will see you again very soon. Stay safe.